Hello, once again, to another episode of the Hard Rock Show. I'm Andrew.
Tim.
We're here tonight to have some more fun. So we're going to chat about the latest from, what do we got here tonight? We've got Tremonti, Angels and Airwaves, and Badflower. We're going to play some Overrated, Underrated in a little bit as well. We've got some few things to get through with the hot topic, the Hard Rock happenings and whatever else. And just generally here to have some more fun and try and lighten up everyone's Tuesday night this time around, not a Monday night or a Sunday night or any other night for that matter. So make sure you like, follow, subscribe, all you everyone says to do. If you see this, like, comment, share, all that stuff. A big hello to Rawtism have just jumped in. So Keith, good to see you here once again as always. Thanks for jumping in. Get in the chat, enjoy some company tonight online, and follow, like, subscribe. All the details you need for that are in the description or the post for this episode, whether you're watching or listening. And the same details are there for our fantastic sponsors. So a big thank you to Squidding, Screwprinting, Alt Cult, and Rockstar Finance. Please find them, give them a follow too. Like I said, their details, just like all of ours, are in that description. Same old as usual. I think we're all we were saying before we went live tonight that we've all hit that sort of lockdown fugue or gone beyond it where everything's just sort of blurring very, 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 very much so now. So aside from that, Tim, how are you going?
Yeah, all right. Just chilling and killing and catching up on sleep mostly.
Yeah.
Fair
enough.
Yourself?
Yeah, same old. Not much to report, to be honest. Had a couple of massive days at work, I was grateful to get today off because I was a bit knackered at the end of all that. Did a lot of hours in a very short turnaround time for a particular job. But apart from that, all good. Nothing to really update anyone on. It's just same old. We are very much in that state now where everyone's just sort of looking for that finish line where we can start to actually do things again, and we'll hopefully see what we can do and all that sort of comes about. But anyway, those decisions are out of our hands, and we'll just have some fun with what we can do while we're here. So to that end, I guess we're going to sort of move on to things relatively quickly at the pace we're going at the moment. I think we'll move some bottles around that stop them from clinking next to each other. So I guess, make sure, while I've got everyone here, to check out the links for everything we're going to talk about in this. So all the clips, there's a fundraiser link coming up as well. All the links in what we're talking about are going to be in the post, but I'll also put them in the comments as we go through. So I guess without any further ado, because there's really fuck all else to do apart from get stuck into things, let's kick off the Hard Rock happenings. Let's talk about, this one was requested last week. People said talk about the latest single from Volbeat, so we are going to do that just now. So in the posts, in the comments, you know what to do by now if you're tuning in. Hit up the link, which is the track is Shotgun Blues, and the band is the mighty Volbeat. We're going to have a bit of a chat about that in just a second, but before we do, Dean's jumped in to say, hey, lads, good to see you here. I know you're keen for the Tremonti review coming up, so we'll get to that toward the end of proceedings as we go through tonight. But thank you for joining us. But for now, though, let's have a quick little chat about Volbeat, Shotgun Blues. That's the new single from the band, got an album coming out in a little bit. What did you make of this one, Tim?
Yeah, good solid first single. I think again, it's a single, so it's going to be something that's going to be nice and radio friendly, which it is, but it's also got some bite to it, which is good. So it's a good teaser for an upcoming album.
Yeah. I liked it. I liked the riff and the heaviness in the song, actually. It's a bit heavier than a few of the other albums have been of late. So I'm looking forward to what they've got. If that's a taste of things to come and not the outlier track, which it sometimes is when it comes to these singles, then hopefully it's going to be pretty interesting to see where the album goes. I like the way the riff plays against the vocal, so it's just a nice little... you've always got the great vocal with that band, but just hearing them sort of chug away and sit on a riff a bit more this time around was pretty cool. So that was nice. Also, just announced they're going to be doing a tour with Ghost next year, which is fitting. You can hear it. You know what I mean? You can hear it when you hear look at these two bands. You can hear how it'll work, and we're not going to see it here, but it'll be a pretty good show to go to, I imagine, as well. So that's been just announced too. So you can see why on the back of this sort of single. There was a few little moments in there that made me think, okay, that'd work. So we'll see what happens. Be a good show either way. Jordan's jumped in to say, g'day, boys. Cheers. So good to see you here. Thanks for jumping in. And TJ Regan, Volbeat vocals are so processed, it's a shame as the band slam. What do you think of that? Because there is definitely a distinct tone, Tim, to the vocal. What do you think of that?
I agree with it because it's I was just thinking as I was listening to it, actually, it's a good song, but we've had now, it's 2021, so it's almost 20 years of that American radio rock style just being the same thing over and over again. And even though it's a good song, it is time for something different. And a big part of that sound is that Pearl Jammy Creed-esque vocal tone that everyone seems to copy, and name the band that does it, from Five Finger Death Punch to
Do you think they'd cop much blowback from fans if they moved to a more organic sound on the vocal?
No, I think it'd probably open them up to new fans, but in the way that say if they sounded like the album I keep thinking of is that Orianthi album.
Okay, yep.
Or like a Highly Suspect album where it just sounded very natural and raw. I mean, if they're a great live band, so they could do it. Yeah. So I don't see any reason not to.
I would like to hear it. I would genuinely like to hear a less processed vocal just to see what it's like, and then you can make a comparison, because it is distinctive to the band, especially these days, but I would like to hear it done just to see what it'd be like to have a studio track like that. But I don't think they will, but we'll see what happens. I don't know. We're going to go from that to another single. This one's new and very, very different to the previous one, but a band that you and I both enjoyed when we reviewed the EP, didn't we, Tim? So this is... sorry, go on.
No, go on.
I was going to say RedHook is the band, and the song is Sentimental Surgery. It's a new single from the Sydney band, and Emmy's been pretty good in promoting this one around, so I figured we'd give this one a spin. We enjoyed the EP Bad Decisions, so how did this one sit for you? It's a bit more pop-oriented, this one.
Yeah, definitely more pop-oriented than Bad Decisions, but it's also got that snare drum that sounds like a shotgun going off in the background, which does add a bit more bite to it. Yeah. To be perfectly honest, I mean, it's not really my cup of tea, but I still think it's a good song just because I think, when you write a song with a decent melody and that flows really nicely, you're going to get, and you present that, people should stand up and listen. And I think, even though it's not really my wheelhouse, it wouldn't sound out of place on any radio station around the country. So I'm hoping that's what it does for them, because they're a good band.
I think, I agree with you in that. This is a song that could easily cross over to much more mainstream radio. It doesn't need to be a Triple J song, this one. This one could go to any of the mains. Even like the modern Triple M station could play this one and get away with it pretty comfortably, I would think. It's got great just general appeal. It's got a really catchy hook. And the lyrics are pretty cool in it as well, for that matter. But I think that it wouldn't also, for being a bit more pop focused, it wouldn't be out of place in their set of songs currently either. Like if they launched from the song Bad Decisions to this song now to Sentimental Surgery, it would work. It would fit in their live set and their show. So it's not that out of place at all. It's just a bit more poppy. It reminds me a little bit of what was going on a couple of decades ago with radio, where you had all those early 2000s kind of pops, rocky pop songs kind of things going on. It feels like it comes out of that era a bit, which is not.
Yeah.
For all its purposes, it's pretty good. It's very well done. Sounds good. It's a feel-good song too. So it's one of those ones that's going to give people something to just smile about for, the 2 minutes 40 that it goes for. So it's very short. Punchy.
Not only that, I think if they were to throw this in the live set, which I'm sure they will, this would be the song that you'd walk away having stuck in your head.
Probably, yeah. That hook is fucking infectious, isn't it?
Exactly.
Our good friend Nudes has joined us. Hi guys, good to see you here again, Nudes.
Hey.
For jumping in. Always good to have the regulars joining us too. Now we're going to go to one that is really just, I think Who? I'm trying to remember who requested. I'm sorry. I think it was Tough actually on YouTube that request. Yeah, Tough on YouTube requested we check this one out. So this is a band called Cybertronic Spree, which I'd not even heard of until this was pointed out to us, and they've covered Barracuda, the song originally, by heart. So that there's a link to that in the description. It's in the post and in the comments now as well. So Cybertronic Spree with their version of Barracuda. Tim, what did you make of this? It's
so who requested this? Tough.
Yeah, our good friend Tough, who went down one of his rabbit holes once we got him going on YouTube.
Tough, my man. So let me tell you a story. This morning when I woke up, I got a suggested YouTube video, and it was from our good friends Nuclear Power Trio.
Ah.
And it was Kim Jong-un playing drums, covering Toto by Rosanna by Toto.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Now, unfortunately, later on in the day, I watched this clip, and nothing against the clip, but
the bar was already set.
Compared to Nuclear Power Trio, man, like the dressed-up gimmick band playing songs has been taken to a whole new level.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I hadn't even thought of that. Yeah, that's true.
I was impressed. One of the comments said on YouTube, and it's true, was that they were playing guitar and gloves. So dedication to the gimmick. I'm sure they didn't record it that way, but still, I appreciated the touch. Yeah, I mean, if you haven't seen it, they're Transformers. They dressed up like Transformers playing Barracuda, and to be honest with you, like I was looking for it on Spotify originally, I couldn't find it, and I found out why when I YouTubed it.
Yep.
Because you need the video with it. I didn't think the recording was better than the original. I thought it was a bit.
No.
Yeah, it was okay, but as a video and as a full package, it was thoroughly entertaining. So I'll give it that. But Tough. Nuclear Power Trio, get on it.
Yeah, if you like this, check out Nuclear Power Trio. This is definitely the execution of Nuclear Power Trio is something else by comparison. I haven't seen anything like it, and we all loved that EP last year.
Yeah, too. I'm pretty sure it might be Havoc.
Yeah.
Because the drummer was endorsing had Aquarian drum heads on, and I know Pete Weber endorses Aquarian drum heads, so I'm like, okay. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know who the singer is. She can sing. It is much more at the video than the song, though. For mine, I think it's easy to, if you're competent, to perform an already good song well, especially one that everyone knows. You know, all you got to do is get the riff right, add a couple of effects, and just have someone that can sing out front. And she can sing. For me, the trouble with this song is that you're gonna go up against fucking the all-time great vocals put down to tape, and then you're going to go up against a song that's been covered so many times. You're gonna find, genuinely speaking, versions that are going to speak to you more than other ones. This one's good. It's all technically proficient. There's nothing wrong with it. The video is what makes it entertaining, because it's weird seeing this chick in a Transformers outfit bopping around on her bed singing Barracuda. So it's something else entirely, and all the outfits are incredibly well done for that matter. So it's an interesting one to take in. It's just that I think they've been pipped because you got Nuclear Power Trio, like you were saying, that have taken the costume gimmick and go a fucking step beyond. But then also when it comes to this song, I think that it's one of those ones where if you perform the song well, it doesn't quite cut it, because the amount of power, fire, and smoke in the original sets the bar up there for it. And so when you go looking for a cover of it, you want something that's going to really go close to it. And the closest I found is actually when Gretchen Wilson performed with Alice in Chains and Nancy Wilson live. That's a great version of Barracuda. Go and check that out if you haven't seen that. But also, Adrenaline Mob did a pretty cool cover of it as well. Hearing a guy do the vocal and actually hitting the pitch is pretty fucking good too. There's another one too. Inglorious did a cover of it. I think Nathan does a bit too much with his vocal, but there's one part toward the end of the song where he fucking just went up there, and it's like, okay, that got my attention. So there are some interesting or different performances of this song that kind of grab my memory more than this one does. But this one visually definitely gets my attention, because it's just something you don't see every day either. So it's worth a look. I'm just not sure it's going to be up there with the all-time greats of the song. But it's a very well-done cover, if nothing else. So out there, let us know what you think. Daniel has joined us on Facebook saying, hey, brothers, still the best. Awesome. Thank you for joining us tonight. It's good to see some more people jumping in now as we get along with it. Blake Adrian, good to see you here. Thanks for joining us. He's gone keen to hear your thoughts on life forms. We are getting to that very, very soon. TJ checked out the song Barracuda by Cybertronic Spree and says, damn, she has pipes. Yeah, she can certainly sing the song just fine. But here's a comment or a couple here from Daniel. He's gone, Tism did the best costumes, so that's one for the Yep.
Also, check out Max Sabbath.
Yes, that is actually a very good one too. When we're going down the gimmick path, that's a pretty good one as well. I'll agree with that. That was
Max Sabbath, Guar, of course, or Gore, however.
Yep. But then also Daniel remembered the one I talked about, Gretchen with Alice in Chains. He's gone, yes, Gretchen rocked it. So yes, that is a very cool version. Go and check that one out. That to me, performance-wise, is pretty fucking good. Alrighty. Simon's jumped in here. So how hard is it to believe Gretchen Willis is actually a country singer? We should do a topic one day on this one. Crossover vocalists that should have been rock singers. Gretchen should have been, and I think Fergie should have been as well, for that matter. Have you got any off the top of your head now that you think of that
Pink
should have crossed that? Yeah, Pink. I agree with that completely too, actually. I wouldn't actually put it past Miley either, believe it or not.
Miley, definitely.
Lady Gaga, definitely.
Lady Gaga, I could hear Ice Cube doing it.
Yeah. There's a few.
Just with his sort of aggressive bark.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's tons of guys out there.
There we go. There's a sidebar topic. If you got anyone in your mind, let us know in the comments. All right, let's get into some news pieces for this week that we've selected to go through. First off is the one we put on the page the other day, which is no surprise to anyone, obviously, but Guns N' Roses are postponed from 2021 November to November 2022. So we all knew this was coming. I think the only surprise for me was the length of the delay in announcing. I think it was just they held on to the very last minute, which was making no sense. And it's funny actually looking at it, because that announcement seems to have been a catalyst of a whole lot of other ones announced over the last 24 hours that have just all sort of pulled up stumps and gone, yep, that's it for the year. We're all going to just call it quits. So I don't know. What did you think of this one when it happened, Tim?
I think I'd called this in like January.
Yeah, we all said the start of the year wasn't happening.
That this wasn't going to happen. It'll probably happen next year. Probably.
Yeah, I would reckon this next year. Yes,
I would say so. But I mean, look, Guns N' Roses don't. I think they cancelled Mexico as well. They should have cancelled Mexico as well, because they did go to Mexico between. But they just couldn't see this happening. I think the frustrating thing for me is that, again, show a little consideration to people who've bought tickets and announced it earlier, because we everybody knew this wasn't going to happen, and we're all frustrated about things at the moment, and a little bit of honesty goes a long way, especially when you're laying down money, because Guns N' Roses tickets aren't cheap.
It's the thing is, it's a lot of money, and I think there was it Nick in our group that was saying, hurry up and announce it, I can get the money back and go and buy some more records. Was it?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So, and that's a consideration too, is that it's so in this kind of year when people are getting closer to Christmas, and that seems to be our benchmark, especially here in Australia at the moment, is everyone wants to get to that point at Christmas time. We can have a Christmas again like last year. Sort of hanging on people's hopes a bit like that is, or depriving them of an option is a little bit of I'm not a huge fan of the way it's played out. I've seen some comments, and I'd like to get some actual factual information on this as opposed to just pure comments online. But it does raise a point in that, the promoters hang on to money to generate income out of interest and stuff. And I don't know, it's hard to dismiss it out of hand, that sort of thinking either, because we don't know what happens. It's the same thing with any sort of amount of money that sits there in a holding pattern and does whatever it does for X amount of time. But yeah, it's an interesting one.
Yeah,
that one.
I would put the fault at, I probably wouldn't have booked this show to begin with.
Well, yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it was ambitious as all hell. I mean, that kiss as well, it was just silly planning.
To book these shows, yeah, it's like when people are booking shows now and announcing them for next year, I think that's sensible because, I mean, by this time next year, I'm sure it'll happen. But they announced this tour, I think, December last year. Like, that was never going to happen.
Yeah. Don't know. We've got this one's got some comments firing away. You've got our thoughts on it. I think it was dumb to do it to begin with, but I think it's actually a bit disrespectful to have held on for as long as they did. Everyone knew this was coming. It's like the worst kept secret of all time. Just pull the pin, rip the bandit off, get it over and done with. People can make their own decisions and get on with it. So that's that. Going back to the crossover singers here for a minute. TJ has gone, Michael Bublé would do a mean Randy Blythe. Actually, it's funny because this is weird as fuck. My wife loves TikTok, and so she watched Michael Bublé reacting to, what's that, the guy that plays Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds, that it? He was doing this a cappella 4-part, 5-part harmony thing, and so you got Michael Bublé losing his mind over that. It was just something funny that my wife found. That those are no Jody. She finds it and just lost her shit watching that one. So just a bit of a Michael Bublé crossover segue for randomness because it's Tuesday and we're bored. No other reason than that. Another comment here, which is one we've referenced, or amongst ourselves anyway. Desecrator calling it quits or going on indefinite hiatus after their shows in January. I believe they're scheduled for at this point in time. Hopefully those shows go ahead smoothly. Get out there, go and see them one last time while you can because they've got some great albums and they're a great fucking band. So yes, please do check them out. Keith Rautism says, finally excuse for Axel to come over to a concrete 12 months late. So there we go. So the latest you can be and get away with it, I guess. This is an interesting one here from Helen. So good friend Helen, thank you for joining us again. Hopefully you got your early drinks in, as you said on Instagram earlier. Interestingly, Cheap Trick got clearance to play here in July this year, but elected not to come. So that's a different one to it. Actually, I don't hold that against them either, to be honest. It's a pretty crazy time to try and do anything like this.
I would have thought so as well because even if they do come here, you don't know what's going to happen while they're here. They could get stuck in a quarantine or so.
It'd be kind of pointless to fly all the way. You can't reschedule the shows at that point in time, and then you can't play because there's a snap lockdown done. It's just, not the way things are going. I wouldn't have done it. Dean says, could have seen this coming. It's a long delay. Another 12 to 14 months from now, it's sad. You got to think it'll go ahead next year, surely. And I think we all can see that happening next year, but we just got to wait and see what happens between now and the next few months. Nude said the same thing. The promoters got the time making the announcement, which is, I think, the biggest criticism. Well, no one blames them for not doing it. As in, no one blames the band for not coming and cancelling, but I think everyone's angry at the promoter for taking this long. We're only 8 weeks away, roughly, from it. And it's like, that's pretty nuts. Daniel says, love Guns N' Roses, but I walked out of Calder Park halfway. At Tats and the Skids rocked it, though. So that's an interesting take on things there. Dave loves Guns N' Roses. We all know that. I'm sure he would defend them vociferously, but he's not here, so it sucks to be in that case.
The amount of people who say they were at Calder Park is like the people who saw the Beatles at the Cavern Club.
I know, everyone's seen them. I want people to start putting photos in the comments when they do that. Just go and get your old photo album out and take a snap on the phone and send us some photos.
You couldn't have done that for Calder Park, to be fair. I mean, Oh no, this is not me. This is not me criticizing or whatever. It's just me. I'd like to actually genuinely see some photos of people that were there, just to go back in time into that snapshot and see that day. If anyone has any photos of that event, because everyone talks about it, I'd like to see just something come through. That'd be pretty cool. I did see a mad photo of Zeppelin playing at Kugel.
Oh wow,
which was very cool.
That'd be fucking great. All right, that's cool. Yeah, there'd be some cool photos out there in general. That's another thing in general too. Try and get some cool photos happening. Get everyone's favorite
Yeah,
live shot.
gig photos in the comments. Let's have a
Yeah,
look. We'll look at all half things.
get some of those going. And if we don't get them tonight, we'll make a post about this to get some gig comments going to just sort of get people a bit more excited about when things get a little bit back to normal for us all. Dean asked, "You think it'll sell at the G and it'd add another show, or they just try one in Melbourne, giving the vaccination rate here?" Big vaccination rate's not really going to enter into it by that point in time.
Yeah, I think it looks like it'll be mandatory double vaxxed until probably mid-December.
Yeah, and then after that, it'll be pretty much all bets are off, I think.
Yeah, so and then see how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, by that point, like it's just whether or not they sell out. I think they'll. I don't know whether or not they'll sell at the G. I don't know if they'll do 2 shows though.
Well, that's the other point now we're going to have to think about is consumer confidence and also the economy for how people are traveling after all this is said and done. We start to get things back to normal. There's a lot of unknowns in this. I don't think people are going to be pretty careful at how they spend their money and what they spend their time on, where they're going to go and stuff for a while to come yet. I think people think the other way. Think other side of the coin. People think, "Nah, fuck it, they'll go back to normal as fast as they can." I don't think everyone will, and that there'll be enough of an impact. What happens in that regard? It'll be interesting.
Yeah, we're going to see the impacts of lockdown for a while because we're all a bit fucked from it.
Yeah, we're a bit rattled. There'll be some PTSD out of this over the coming years, I'm sure. Yeah, Dean says Steel Panther rescheduled as well. Yeah, everyone's rescheduled. Helen said, "My daughter's boyfriend is a bestie of Bublé when he did the ads for the Super Bowl last year." Fucking hell, okay. That'd be a unique experience. Sally's here. Hey, Sally. Good to see you here. Thanks for jumping in. What else have we got here? Trick, we're going to get stuck at my house and eat endless Sunday roasts. Well, I'm sure that'd have been well fed, Helen. So that's one way to spend lockdown, at least. That's not too bad. What do we got here? Nude says, like everyone was at the first Sex Pistols show, there was 27 people, including the band. So that's another one of those comments that gets thrown around as well. TJ, if you remember Horsehead playing at the front of God, yeah, then you were there. That's true. I have heard that one a lot. I wasn't there for that, but that was a lot of people have spoken about that one too. So, yes, good point there, TJ. Simon goes, I was offered free tickets for Calder Park, went to work instead because Axel sucks little boys. I am paraphrasing and reading things out. This is not my thoughts on the record, but fucking hell, that's a funny call. All right. We've gone from that. We're going to do another hard turn. We always do these big hard turns here. So in the comments right now, I'm going to share an article and then I'm going to follow that up with a fundraising link in the comments now too. The fundraising link is in the post or the description, wherever else. So please do go and check that out too. So one link is there. The other one's coming through as well. So there's a couple of links there. So there's an article about the Enigma bar and then a fundraising link right afterward. Before I get stuck into that, what do we got here? Guns N' Roses are great. They were just drunk as fuck. Well, that's true as well for a lot of bands, I think, back then in particular. And then Simon says, true story, I drove my cab instead. Fucking hell, driving your cab instead of seeing Guns N' Roses. It's an interesting way to spend a day, but you do what you do. Now, to make things a little more serious, unfortunately, before we get stuck into a fun, overrated, underrated topic, we do have to acknowledge that the Enigma bar in Adelaide are in danger of closing. They set up a GoFundMe page to help them get to, I think the target is $70,000 from memory. And they need that money to sort of just keep the debt collectors and the rent at bay and the electricity and all that sort of stuff going because they just can't get enough people through the door with everything being the way it is. And this is a state that's actually, it's interesting in this context. It's a state that's remarkably COVID-free by comparison to New South Wales and Victoria. And they still are having trouble with this sort of stuff. They can't get the interstate bands in to help fill the room out. So, Tim, you found this one. What are your thoughts on it? Have you played the venue before?
I have played the venue before. Yeah. Very lovely people. I've done a lot of gigs in Adelaide, actually. One of my best friends lives over in Adelaide.
Oh, cool.
But what that means is, like, not many venues in Adelaide are willing to put on hard rock bands, and even fewer are willing to put on heavy metal bands. And Enigma is one of the few that does. So you lose this place, that's pretty much almost kills your heavy metal scene in Adelaide, which would be a real shame, of course. But obviously something will spring up somewhere because where there's demand for it. But Enigma is such a staple. It'd be like when the Tote closed here a few years back.
Yeah,
it's a staple of the live music scene, and it's a rite of passage for many bands to go over and play Enigma, whether you're from Adelaide or not. So it's very important, and I think it'd be a real shame if these guys were to close down because of COVID-related bullshit. So
yeah.
I know a lot of us are struggling at the moment, so don't feel bad if you can't, but if you can, anything towards Enigma Bar would really be appreciated, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, that last part that you've had there is pretty much the pertinent aspect of all this. I know that everyone's struggling in some way, shape, or form. So, like you said, if you can't, you can't. That's all good. This is not a guilt trip or a pressure act. This is just a shout out to anyone that can and is willing to, and even if other media orgs want to get involved in this and start spreading the word around, because you found this from a smaller organisation, and we're hopefully sharing it and getting some word out now. So share the article, share the word. Let's get this one out there to try and drum up some support for these guys. I think it's off to a bit of a slow start, hence the media sort of helping on things now. But hopefully we can get this venue to get over the line, or at least get them close. So, they've got some sort of ability to tread water for a bit longer until we can sort of get the borders opened up toward the end of the year internally. Hopefully we'll see what happens. But, yeah, I mean, it's like you were saying before, Adelaide doesn't have a huge range of venues for that sort of stuff. So it's be a big shame if that doesn't, I don't know. If it doesn't get over the line, it's going to really hurt things over there. And Adelaide gets bypassed a lot as it is when it comes to international tours and that too. I mean, we've got Frankie's in Sydney's getting knocked over. They have to move to another place, and had all the Melbourne ones go the way they've gone as well. And now we've got this one over in Adelaide. So it's a big thing. It'd be nice if there was more support in general for venues and the arts from the governments, but that's a different thing for another time. But
if only they opened an Enigma Sports Club, then maybe.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? But you don't want, because then you sacrifice. Well, that's a whole long topic for us. We'll go on all night about that sort of stuff. But it's a shame. But hopefully we can get some word out there. Spread the word. Even if you can't put money in, you can do a social media share. So spread the word. Yeah. Let's get this one out there and do the little things that have that genuine. It does have genuine impact when you do share those posts around. So please do spread the word. Nudes, who we know is over there, he says great venue. So big supporter of ours, and like you can tell us in your own words what it means for you to lose that place, because you're the ones on the ground over there much more than I am or Tim is. Simon says, there we go. Just fucking popped. My brother was at Kooyong for Zeppelin, Rod Stewart and the Stones. He filmed in Super 8, no sound. Now, that would be fucking cool to see, that one. If there's a link to the footage, that'd be awesome to see. Helen's gone. They need to do a Beatles rooftop gig. What a fucking gig that was. No inside, no patrons, just going hard. Now, that wouldn't be bad either. There's a metal fest on the roof. If you could get approval for that over the line.
Yeah. Complete with bank manager shutting it down after 2 songs.
Yeah. That would be.
Imagine being the bank manager who shut that gig down.
Mm-hmm. Fucking madness in history when you look back. Jesus Christ.
The last Beatles show got shut down after a song and a half.
I know. Fucking nuts. But anyway, what do you do? TJ says, spot on. They're having trouble because Melbourne bands are their bread and butter. Love playing there, and many bands have been in. So there we go. There's another one that does the work. Rautism says, Hidden Intent has to do a massive thrash metal spectacular at the Enigma. Maybe you get a whole bunch of metal bands, with Hidden Intent and the other states too, like WA, they have a good bunch of bands. Get them over there to go and do it. It's an expensive exercise, but do something that can sort of drum up some publicity for this as well. That'd be good. Jesus Christ, where are we going here? Dean says, as if knocking down pubs for bands to play in when COVID wasn't around. Now this is even more sad. If this keeps happening around Australia, where are the bands going to play? Government, wake up. This is a big issue that's going to be biting us in the arse over the next few years, I think. We'll hopefully get a better result than we're getting at the moment, but it's not a great thing at the moment here too. Simon's given us an overrated, underrated, or just 1980s metal from Melbourne. I can't watch the clip yet, so I'll check that out later on. Nicole has joined us on YouTube. Sorry, I'm late. Hello all. Good to see you here. Thanks for joining us. Doesn't matter if you're here late. Just hopefully you're enjoying the show. Brendan's jumped in to say it's totally mad when live venues are closing, but loads of vinyl shops are opening. It's a bit of a strange one, but you see, you can do. We were talking about this before with Brendan before we went live, that you can do the online shopping. You just can't go out, and that's the exact dichotomy that we're dealing with at the moment, which is.
I do wonder if local music is going to be less live gig oriented and more like video release centric now.
I think what COVID has done this is probably another hot topic we should explore in more depth. But I think
it is, because I'm in the position where I'm in two bands, right, and they both have opposite philosophies. Where one band plays every 2-3 weeks and they'll play till they drop, and the other band is much more focused on once every 6 months and playing a huge show and filling the room.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think that
it's interesting to see the two philosophies at play, and I wonder which one's going to come out.
I think there's room for both. I mean, we should make this a genuine hot topic, so remind me to do this one as I actually set it up to chat about it more in depth and give people a chance to think about it. But I think what we're seeing now is that COVID has sort of brought on what was going to happen at a much sooner time frame than was originally expected. So Digital Revolution, Spotify, YouTube, all those things, we're going to do their thing. And we've seen numbers slowly declining, generally speaking, for the week-to-week gigs. If it was a big event, you get a good turnout, but week-to-week gigs were slowly declining. I think we'll get a bit of a bump maybe initially when it comes back, but then people will eventually settle back into those habits and being selective. We'll see what happens. But, yeah, I think this has brought about that sort of stuff in a shortened time frame, and I think that we will see more focus on the digital world than the physical world. Because it's going to be safer for quite a number of years to come yet, and it's more bang for buck.
It's not just safer. I feel like people
consume things that way too now, more than go out and.
Yeah, they're much more into the early dinner, night at home at the movies kind of thing.
Yep.
Nowadays, than the Catamil and live bands.
Yeah, there's so much more competition for people's attention, and most of it's on the computer, on the phone, on the TV, and that's where you need to be, and then you can get in. Like, big tours will still happen, but I think that the doing a gig every 2 weeks, probably not long, maybe a few more years of it, but I think this will start to show, it'll be interesting to see where it plays out. But
just curious to see where it goes.
If anyone's got any thoughts, let us know. We'll keep checking those out as we go along. Here, on this note, Daniel said bands should do live streaming gigs and get fans to donate. At least we'll get to see them live-ish. This is a big thing at the start of the pandemic, and then it just sort of stopped, and I don't know why. But it is definitely something to do. What do we got?
Because it's easy to do, it's hard to do well.
That's the thing, and that's where...
doing it well is expensive, and I mean, like... When you've got travel limits as well, unless your band lives close together, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, logistically it's challenging. We'll see what happens. But again, I think we'll set that on as an actual hot topic and try and dig deeper into that one. That'd be an interesting conversation to have. Dean said, I'll be donating 100%. That and every pub and venue that's struggling to keep it all going for us bands and the new generation coming in. So thank you for the kind words. That's a reference there for the Enigma bar. So nicely done there. Sumaleth, good to see you here. Giving us the horns as a way of greeting. Nice. Rod Stewart, met him at the Sebel in Sydney. My girlfriend asked me if he liked whitebait because there was a restaurant around the corner that served the best of all the things. So there we go. That's from Helen. Helen comes in with some interesting stories every single time. Sumaleth, I see the Cybertronic spree in the lineup. Yes, that was there. We've already discussed that one, unfortunately. It was an interesting video to go and check out. What else? Simon's gone, it's too late for all music. We went on tour in November 82. We were still away from Melbourne. 20-plus live venues closed and turned into pokey holes. The Pokies did a big number on this show. It's been a long time ago as well. That's another one in that conversation. Andrew, our good friend Ash. Andrew, good to see you here on YouTube. He's gone, I'm a fan of both of Tim's bands and will continue to support both as much as I can. That is great. You're a big supporter of ours.
We do greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, do appreciate it. And, like, he's a Patreon supporter of ours as well, so thank you very much for all that support. Do greatly appreciate it. It means the world. Sally's gone. Some of it's about people anxiety in public, to be honest, and that's true as well. But we've noticed that being on the rise too, I think. That and just there's a whole lot of other issues around that too. Blake says, I'm much more inclined to listen to new music at a gig rather than seeking it online, support the venues and buy 2 beers instead of 1. Well, we can all get down with having a couple of beers. That's always good. Brendan's gone pay-per-view and sell merch during the stream. That's another idea. There's all these things will logistically work themselves out. Like the platform we're doing this all with now wasn't around a few years ago. We'll see some rapid advancements and things, so we'll see what happens.
I'm curious to see where it goes because, I mean, I love playing gigs too. Like, I mean, it's my favourite thing in the world.
Yeah.
And I'd really be disappointed if I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Mm-hmm. Sumile says Devin Townsend did a bunch of live shows from his spare room, both free and paid, has since released the shows on CD. That's a good way to do things as well. The old turn them into shows. It's more content to produce, and which does all the other bits and pieces as well. So those are good things to take into account. Daniel says metal is supposed to break the rules, saying for a friend. I think we're all in favor of breaking some rules, especially these days. TJ's gone, hopefully when the gigs come back, people who love to go see bands will be there to see bands. My last gig at the SB October 19, there are a lot of people there to eat and socialise, and the bands almost seemed in their way. Live venue, hopefully the punters returned. That'd be... Yeah,
the SB is an interesting one because I was excited for it to reopen, and then I haven't actually been since it opened because it's just not the place that I left.
Yeah, that's the difference. Yeah,
the last gig I was at the SB was the Bennies, 2 a.m. show. I ended up getting on at 3 a.m. And I to be honest, I went with a friend just to prove that we could do it and that we weren't old.
How'd you feel the next day?
We were old.
That's how it works.
But I mean, that's how long ago it was. The Bennies are playing at 3 a.m. at the in the front bar. That's not happening now.
No, definitely not now. That's a shame. What I will say about the SB is I like the signage. What they've done with the signage over the course of the last few months has been pretty clever. So I do like what they've done with that, and that keeps them in the awareness a bit too. So we'll see how it all shakes out. What have we got here? Keith says live stream gigs is a good idea, but there's no feel from it. You had to listen to it through a speakers you got from home rather than house speakers. Yeah, and for a band performing, it's challenging too. So I do understand all those things. What do we got? I was at the Bombay Rock, the original one in Brunswick. The night it ceased to be a live venue. It was Christmas Eve '82. There were 3 bands playing. So there were 12 musos, 9 roadies, 10 punters, and 1 pissed off promoter who closed end of the night straight after the second band. Hard to believe the Bombay Surfers, Bombay Surfers paid 20+ thousand to use license name in 1980. Bloody hell. That's kind of a curse name, though, when you look at the story of the history of that. It's kind of had some interesting ones.
Yeah.
Dean is with you, Tim. Nothing better than playing a live gig. 100% agree with Tim. And that's it. Cheyenne, good to see you here on Facebook. Thanks for joining us. Adelita, Magic Dirt, has been doing live Sunday sessions. Her and her guitar on Facebook and Instagram. She chats, swears, makes mistakes, plays the stuff, and covers. It's awesome. More bands should do this. And I completely agree with that. We've covered that off before. I think we should see more of that happening, and hopefully we'll get back to that sort of stuff soon as well. Andrew says, been in the USB, both Gershwin room and basement. Can be hard to fight through the hipsters to get to the basement. Well, that's the basement's a struggle of a little room anyway, so I've mixed that room. It's fucking painful. That room is just hard. Everything about it is hard. But anyway, Dean said, sad to see the front bar go from the SB now and lost on what it was originally, but it's great it's not gone forever and still go to the live gigs there. Now, I think what's good about it is that the Gersh is still there, so that's still a possibility of bringing that.
The main thing is if, as a venue, they're making money.
Yeah, that's
I'd rather see them open and doing things that I'm not going to go to than see them closed.
And that's a big thing, isn't it? We all get high on our high horse a bit with this sort of stuff. But, yeah, if they're open and they're doing well, then congratulations to them at the end of the day.
Exactly.
more important than the other stuff. And on that note, Helen's gone. Weaving your way up to the bar after a sweaty session of live music cannot be replaced. I agree with that. My wife and I met at the ESPY, so I do have a very big soft spot in my heart for that place. But that said, all things change and move on. Speaking of moving on, let's get on to our overrated, underrated topic for tonight. This will be interesting. Well, I want to see how the comments go with this one tonight. So give us your thoughts as we go along. Tonight's overrated, underrated is Nirvana, Nevermind. The album itself, it's just celebrated its 30th anniversary. So the concept here is we just sort of say if it's about properly rated, underrated, overrated, or whatever, and go from there. Tim, have you done one of these before, or is this the first for you?
This is the first for me.
Okay, so you are over the concept, roughly, I hope.
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, the album Nirvana, Nevermind, is it overrated, underrated, or about right? Tim, just give us your thoughts.
I think it's about right.
Okay.
Look, it's not the most musically challenging or virtuosic thing that you ever hear, but you can't deny its influence on popular music for the past 30 years. And I think we're going to review 3 albums tonight, and Nirvana have their hands all over all 3 of them.
Yeah.
So you can't deny this band's influence. I thought, speaking of which, the best thing so far about the 30th anniversary was the black map in Adelaide.
Oh yes, that was cool.
So if you haven't seen it, you know those bike map things where people like track their bike ride around. Some guy rode for like 8 hours and did the whole Nevermind Baby cover.
Yeah.
Around the city of Adelaide and made sure to put the dollar bill over the rich suburbs.
Yeah. Impressive effort. That was impressive.
Yeah, it's about right. I mean, like a 30th anniversary release of Nevermind is going to drum up interest and get streams and sell vinyls and shit like that. So, not that they need the money, but it's going to do it.
For mine, I think it was about right, but I think it's starting to get a bit overrated. It's starting to push that needle to that side of things a bit. And yeah, a lot of it's still at the moment. It's about because of the 30th anniversary and the hoopla about the artwork and the guy suing the band and stuff. And there's all these bits and pieces going on. But generally speaking, I think it's pushing toward the overrated stage, and I think it will continue to push that envelope a bit more. Not in a dramatic way. Because you can't deny its impact and its heritage and what it's done for music. Like you said, the fingerprints of that band are on pretty much everything that's come afterwards. So I fully appreciate what they've done. I like the album too, for the record. I think it's their best work, just about. But I just think that it's the way it gets talked about or talked up, and not enough. Like the impact was undeniable, but the actual performances, musicianship, and stuff, like the best part of that was probably Butch Vig's production. So, by comparison, no, the songwriting's good, but the
Dave Grohl.
Yeah, okay, Dave Grohl on drums. But again, I would probably say Dave Grohl makes the sound. Without him, the band's nothing. I do completely say that. I mean, you could have the other 2 guys doing whatever they do, but Dave Grohl, his swing and attack was what made that band and that album stand out.
The other thing, though, too, is like, no disrespect to the other major bands of the late 80s and early 90s, but the styles of music that influenced popular music for the next 30 years were grunge and hip-hop.
Yeah, definitely.
It wasn't Guns N' Roses. It wasn't whatever else was out at the time. It was the vibe. That's why that you're seeing that almost overextension happening, is because every popular band at some point, the guitarist probably picked up a guitar because Kurt Cobain played guitar.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think it's. I've got to try and qualify this. I don't think the impact is overrated. I think the way people talk about it is overrated, if that makes sense. It's a weird way to try and split it, but it's like it's had a monumental impact across. It changed the entire culture. But I just think that the way it gets held up It was just the perfect album at the perfect time. It was just one of those ones just hit right. It's just funny hearing everyone or watching everyone, reading everyone, whatever, fall over themselves, try and praise the bejesus out of it when there were faults in it for as good as it is, kind of a thing. So it's one of those quirky ones for me. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Got some comments coming through on it, which is interesting. These little topics are fun. What do we got here? Daniel says, overrated. I was enjoying the 80s till depressive 90s arrived. Nirvana can bite me. So there we go. That's one for Dave's heart there. Dean says, I think it's about right. Even I'm not a huge enough Nirvana fan, but it's influenced so many musicians, and that's where it is. Sally, the Goldilocks thing. Not too hot, not too cold. It's just right. So there we go. Tim, you're on the money tonight. I'm not sure about this one. Helen's gone, I've had a gutful of covers, regardless of who it is. It's disingenuous and riding coattails to gain in the audience. Doesn't cut it harsh, but yeah. Interesting, overrated, underrated.
Depends on the cover.
Yeah, I think it really does depend on the cover, that one. Yeah, that's a thing. If it's done well, yeah, they can really go off. So depends what you're looking at. Blake says social and musical influence impact can't be ignored, but it's definitely showing its age. That's an interesting point there as well. Assume left. I like the album too. For the record, it sounded a bit redundant somehow. That's me being wordy as usual, so don't worry about that one too much. TJ says released the same year as Blood Sugar Sex Magic. Chili's album is perfect start to finish and blows it out of the water. Nevermind has a few good tunes. Okay, that's a good take. Interesting sort of. I
do like Blood Sugar Sex Magic as well.
Yeah, I haven't revisited that album in quite some time. I haven't probably given it the attention it deserves. It'd be worth to go and check that one out at some stage. Nirvana were cheap and nasty copies of the Cosmics. That's not an old argument, that one. So that's one there from Daniel. Andrew says, I'm not a Nirvana fan, but some of their stuff I can't stand. I like some of their stuff, can't stand some. Probably overrated now. I do love the irony of Smells Like Teen Spirit becoming an anthem for the generation it was parodying. That was one of the things that was pretty clever about Kurt at the end of the day. Rautism, Keith says it's about right. Kaz says, Nevermind is not necessarily overrated. It was overhyped. I prefer In Utero. I did prefer In Utero until
we went back about a month ago.
Yeah. The grunge special really changed my point of view on that album. It did for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I thought going into it, I thought In Utero was their best work, and I listened to it going, it's got better songs here and there, but as a better piece of work, Nevermind smokes it. So there we go. And going back onto the cover thing, here's one we're talking about. Johnny Cash, Hurt. Nuff said, what a cover. Now that's smoking, that cover.
See, I don't know about that.
Really? I love it.
I'm such a Nine Inch Nails tragic. I don't know.
I love Nine Inch Nails, but I reckon Johnny Cash owns that song now.
I don't know.
Really? Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, you and I have to get stuck into that one day. It's a good... I love the original. But I just thought when Johnny Cash did that version, it was something else. Just, I think the clip that goes with it just really sells it for more.
Yeah, the clip that goes with it's cool, but I like Trent's delivery. I like Trent's vocal. Well, okay. I'm still a depressed teenager. But I like the depressed teenager.
As in now or when it came out?
Well, still, both.
Well, the goodwill you drummed up with the about right, you might be losing it here. Dude, Trent approved it, so...
Yeah, I know Trent approved it, but it still doesn't mean it's my favourite.
This is the funny about music. It's so subjective. Yeah, I love it. But that's a good one, that one. That's another topic for another time is, the best covers of all time and the worst. We should do a best and worst of the covers kind of thing too. That'd be, maybe do a draft of those ones. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Andy, good to see you here. He's jumped in saying Nirvana was like fingernails down a blackboard for me. And there are quite a few people that agree with you there, so you're not alone on that one. All right. Let's do a review. Let's get into this. Let's have some fun. We've got a few to get through tonight before we wrap up and get out of here. First cab off the rank is Badflower. So that's the band, and the reference track we've chosen for tonight is Don't Hate Me, or I've chosen because I went through and did all the notes. So Badflower, Don't Hate Me is the reference track for what we're going to go through next, and don't hate me for choosing what we've got here to go through tonight. So our first review to get through is Badflower. This is How the World Ends. 13 tracks, 49 minutes, the second studio album of the American band, released September 2021 via Big Machine Records. Produced by band member Josh Katz with Scott Borchetta and John Vavatos. 4 singles have been released, including Family and Don't Hate Me. Not a band we spent a lot of time on here at the show, but it was one of the more popular releases in the lounge, where we do all the polling each week. So I figured we'd give this one a spin. I think, Tim, you are familiar with this band, if I'm correct?
Yeah.
All right. So how did you go with this one? Was it what you expected it to be?
This is a wild trip for me, because I'm at that age now where there are popular-ish bands the same age as me.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So, like, I can hear all their influences being songs that I grew up with.
Yeah.
And part of that is, because rock and roll wasn't the dominant style at the time, so there were influences like bands like Nirvana, but there was also, your Simple Plans and your All American Rejects, and you can hear a lot of that in here. Mm-hmm. There's also the sort of that indie rock boom of the mid-2000s of Florence and the Machine and Lady Antebellum and things like that. Yeah. And you can hear that in here, but there's also deathcore breakdowns all over this thing. Which, again, so this is what millennial rock sounds like.
That's actually a good term. We might have to use that.
And I quite enjoy it. Now, here's the other things too, and I'm sure you're going to go on about this, but the tones on here are spectacular.
No, the production was pretty fucking good.
Guitar. So now, there was this period from about 10 years ago where the guitars were sounding very processed, drums were very attack heavy. This is nice and full and rich all the way around, so production's fantastic. Yeah. Now, for all those influences that I mentioned before, on the whole, I think this is a very pop-oriented songwriting, by which I mean it is very much focused on the vocal.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
Now, lyrically, it is also very much aimed at that sort of 15 to 25-year-old age bracket.
Yep.
For a lot of songs. Now, for some songs, I think...
Some's a bit more intense than that, though. I think some of this is pretty...
Some songs, it's not going to matter. I mean, like... Yeah. Just to go through it here, Machine Gun, Adolescent Love, Everyone's an Asshole even. Songs like that are going to appeal to everybody. There's also songs like, Stalker is it sounds a bit immature at times. But there's also other songs which will get a bit cheeky in that. And I think so long as... there's going to be some people that kind of, look at it and see, song titles like Fuckboy and just go, oh, this is not for me. But at the same time, so long as we're all 25 years old making dumb decisions at some point or another, and so long as you haven't forgotten what that was like, you haven't completely forgotten what it was like to be a young person, I think you can relate to the stories being told here in some way.
Yeah.
And even though we were talking about having, the depressed 90s, and we followed it up with having the emo 2000s, and there's plenty of emo rock lyrics all over here. So, again, if that's not your thing, then you'll find some tracks on here that you will like and some that you won't like. But if it is your thing, you might like the whole thing, like I did.
Cool.
Overall, I really enjoyed it for what it is, but I would love to hear people's opinions on this one, because... I'd be curious to see how this goes. Because there are plenty of bands like this that do the less emo thing. Highly Suspect comes to mind. Yep. So if you like, bands like this, but try it a bit too, emo-ish, Highly Suspect are probably a good band to check out. But I'd be curious to see how people go with this, because I really think it's great. And I think this is the sort of band that could cross over mainstream, no problem.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Fuckboy, Don't Hate Me, Everyone's an Asshole, my highlights, 9 out of 10. I think it's a good album.
Okay.
Really good.
Cool. All right. Now, I'm not the target audience for this one, I don't think, and that's okay. You mentioned the production. The production's fucking glorious on this. The tones, the polish on it, but it's really warm at the same time. None of this is. There's some processing going on, but not over the top processing. It gets busy. The layering is well executed. Like the sonics on this are really well done, and considering like the way the frequency's been balanced on this between the vocal and the bottom end has been really well done. So the mix is glorious, tones are fantastic, all those things there. So execution wise, performances at the same token are really good as well. I think execution wise, this is really good. This is all going to come down to taste. Now, you mentioned a lot of the songs with the titles and different stories and that going here. You mentioned Machine Gun, but I want to mention Tethered. Tethered's really dark, really dark.
Yeah.
There's some fun, stupid stuff, and it's like Fuckboy, and that's actually one of my standouts on this one. I think it's a lot of fun, that track, believe it or not. It's just got such a fucking hook in it. But Tethered is really brutal. Like, that story is just the opposite end of the spectrum, and it's just, wow, okay. You know, so for all the fun they're having, there's some really serious substance when you dig under the surface a little bit too going on, which I thought was...
Which I appreciated.
Yeah, I thought that was a nice touch on this. I liked how they used the computerized voice thing in Stalker as well. They used it mid-song, which, you know, put me a little bit in mind with the breakdown in there, a bit of a 12-foot ninja kind of approach on things. So this does do some really big leaps and bounds. It takes on one hell of a journey all over the joint with this, but it all flows together pretty well. I think, yeah, for me, I don't know. I loved the vocals. I thought they were actually... that was a good gateway for me on this one, in that the vocals being so heartfelt, so earnest, the performance there was really good. The emotive side of it was really engaging. But yeah, there was just some odd bits on this one too. The first one was the sonic build up to the end of the opening track on this, which then just goes to nowhere. So at the end of Adolescent Love, it has this sonic build up and then it just sort of stops. And I'm like, oh, okay.
That's the other thing too. Like, it's a ballsy track list.
It was a very ballsy track list. I will definitely give it that. It's not a boring listen at all. It does go pretty well in that regard. But then also, I don't know, I think this is a technical execution problem, but the end of She Knows just suddenly just stops in the middle of a lyric, and it's like, what?
I thought I got a phone call.
Yeah.
And like, I was waiting for my phone to start ringing.
Yeah.
But then the next track just started. I was like, okay.
Every time I did it, I had checked my phone going, what the fuck's going on? Because I thought my phone had done something. It just stops. And the thing is that song, with that, the reason why that fault stands out is because the song could have been wrapped up a minute earlier easily, because that hook was just going over and over. It was just being dragged out, and then it just stops. It was like you had a minute you could have cut there to round that out nicely. What's the other one here? There's the two spoken endings in a row with Only Love and Sasshole or Sasshole, whatever it is. That was about the only one where it felt a bit sort of almost by the numbers. At that, just the little moments, and it was not the songs themselves, just those little moments that you had one song and then the next song just closed pretty much the exact same way. I was like, for all the diversity going on, that's why it stood out. Not in a bad way, but just because everything else is so bombastic on this listen. It's fun. It's a pretty dark listen in a lot of respects. It's a bit of mixing dark and fun stuff. It's interesting. Like I said, I'm not the target audience, but I do appreciate what they're trying to go for here. I think if you listen to a couple of songs and it grabs your attention, it's going to be one to stand by. I'll get to the comments in a second. Well, it's one to check out and have a listen to. But if you don't get it after a few tracks, it's going to be a hard slog for a bit. So for me, I give it a 6 out of 10. I do kind of get it, but at the same time, like I said, I acknowledge that I'm not the target audience of this one, so it makes more sense that, you know, them being more the age bracket, you know, and the influences growing up with Tim than me makes a bit more sense in this context. But it is what it is in that regard. But that said, the highlights in this were pretty fucking high. Stalker was a good one, Fuckboy and Don't Hate Me, but I did like Tethered as well, because that was a so we crossed over on Don't Hate Me at least. So there we go. But yeah, the hook in Fuckboy, that just stays up in your head straight away. Good luck, Fuckboy. You can hear that straight away. It's so infectious.
Yeah.
So well done on that alone. to the comments here. Daniel said, had a look. I think I'm old and out of touch. Shite. Mate, I think that's you and me both in the context of this album here. Benjamin, good to see you here. He's going, hope you guys are doing great. Hope you are too, by the way, buddy.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Jess on YouTube, hello. So good to see you here. Thanks for joining us.
Hey.
Helen, I listened to several tracks like Johnny Wants to Fight, a Triple J band for me. Johnny Wants to Fight wasn't bad either. Like, the moments are cool. It was just the overall thing for me.
Even Johnny Wants to Fight, I can got that hook in my head now.
Yeah, they did the hooks very well. TJ said, sounds like Weezer and Panic at the Disco had a baby. That's cool, but also mentioned in my review Wheatus. It put me a little bit of the era where Wheatus had Teenage Dirtbag. This put me in mind of that era, which would be that.
I was going to say, Stalker is like 2021 Teenage Dirtbag.
Yeah. It's okay, so not just me. I did get some context.
No, it's not just you.
Cool. All right. That's not a bad feeling. And then for that minute I was talking about, Benjamin's gone. That minute of your life you'll never get back. So there we go. That's that one there as well. But he's also said, you've said fuckboy so many times now I've lost count of that now, Andrew. Funny story. Wayne, our good friend Wayne, I don't know if you remember this one, Tim, but Wayne used to have a count every episode on telly where
I remember this.
Yeah, where especially Dennis would go off his fucking head, and every time there was a swear word, he had a different count for fuck, for shit, for whatever, and so there was a count, and he'd give us a tally after every episode. So Wayne, if you're tuning in, fucking shout out to you for the effort you used to do back in the day.
There's a podcast to listen to now. It's Super Wrestling Is Over. But what they do is they do a blade count for Dynamite.
Okay.
So how many people got busted open on a Dynamite episode?
Wow.
And there'll be the weeks where it's just like when Matt Hardy and Dustin Rhodes are wrestling, and it's just because Dustin's going to kick every match.
Yep. Oh, that was there's always those little moments always stick with you. Those little different things. So yeah, the old count you used to have back in the day. So there we go, Benjamin. You just brought a fun memory back for me there. But all right, let's move on. This is a bit of a old world meets new world kind of episode. We're going to transition from one band to the next, and this is Angels and Airwaves. Now, someone mentioned earlier on that they're keen to hear what we think of this one, so let's get into it. The band is Angels and Airwaves. The reference track for tonight is Timebomb. So go and check that out while we get into the preamble. So this is Angels and Airwaves with Life Forms, 10 tracks, 38 minutes. The sixth studio album of the American band, released September 2021 via Rise Records. Produced by the band Aaron Rubin. 5 singles have been released, including Rebel Girl and Euphoria. This is the band's first with Matt Rubano on bass, who has replaced Matt Wachter. And this also sees the return of guitarist David Kennedy, who was last on the 2011 album Love Part 2. Another band we're not spending a lot of time on here at the show. This is notable, though, for being fronted by Tom DeLonge, who was most known for Blink-182. Tim, was this what you thought it would be?
Yeah, he's the alien hunter in Blink, who apparently found an alien, a UFO, a few years ago.
Wow. Cool.
Now, Elon Rubin, worth mentioning as well, phenomenal drummer. Spent a number of years as the live drummer for Nine Inch Nails.
Yes.
Really great drummer. Now, when Timebomb came on, for the first, 1.5 seconds with that synth opening, I was like, oh, no.
Yeah.
But I slowly got into it, and the more this album went along, I started to listen to it more or less like an old pop record.
Okay, yeah, I get that. Yep.
Yeah, where you had the guitars are here are more just for flavor, and the synth is more of a flavor. And again, it's much like the previous album where it is very much vocal based. Now, there can be a problem because it's Tom DeYoung, and it can be hard to get the voice inside your head out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I found I was able to do it. Now, because of that, I actually really enjoyed it. However, if you were to tell me, I just can't unhear that fucking Blink guy being a parody of himself, I hated it as a result, then I think that's an absolutely fair and reasonable assessment. But having said that, I mean, like if you are able to look past the Tom DeJong being Tom DeJong, and being an absolute fucking lunatic, and just listen to it as a I shouldn't say that, he's done some cool stuff, to be fair. And he's following his passion, which fair play to him. But if you can listen to this I find if you listen to this just as an old school pop record where it's got some guitar flavor, some nice grooves, some nice melodies, the same thing with some synth over the top, it's actually a really enjoyable listen because there are some great catchy tunes on here. And overall, I found myself really enjoying it. So yeah, 8.5 out of 10. Rebel Girl was my highlight, and yeah, I thought it was a decent listen, if not a wild journey as well.
Okay. We're not getting a lot of love for this one in the comments. I'll get to those ones. I'm not surprised. Yeah. And the thing is that when we go through these albums, we put a list into the THRS Lounge on the Facebook group every week. So if you're complaining, get in the lounge and vote every Friday. Let us know what you're keen to check out, because that's how I determine what goes into the pool. It's the most popular releases are the ones that sort of go through. This one had a couple of votes, so it went to the pile. So this is, that's funny you mentioned the Tom DeLonge thing, and I actually liked the mix on this one because they put him back in the mix. It wasn't quite so glaring and sharp. Like in Blink-182, I can't fucking stand either of the vocalists. I cannot. But in this context, I didn't mind it because he was back in the mix, which meant that you could focus on the music, and the way the synth flooded into his tone made it much more palatable as well. He still cuts through. He's got a nasal delivery. It's always going to cut through, but they softened it.
But there was a point in Blink where, like, regardless of what anyone says, he was overdoing it deliberately.
Yeah. Yep. I'll pull this one up. TJ's gone, "Where are you?" Yep, and that's the that's the calling card. Look, I was able to tune that out pretty comfortably, actually. So if you are like me and really can't stand the vocals, don't let that put you off of checking this one out if it does grab your attention at all, because it's not nearly as glaring and hard to listen to as it is on the Blink stuff.
I will say, I think the it is worse on Timebomb than it is on other tracks.
Yeah, it's interesting. I chose, when I go through and choose I think
Timebomb's the latest single.
That's why I choose them. They're the latest ones. Yeah, so it's just whatever's the newest one is what I drop, and that's what it goes for. So, all right. Okay, Blake's got some feedback here. Okay, I'll get to that one in a second. All right, cool. Now, when you look at the lineup, there's a lot of synth credits on this, and that shows on this one in a heartbeat. It kicks off feeling something like a bit of a... Like, I'm not a connoisseur of the genre overall, so it is what it is in my perception, in my opinion. But it feels like something that morphs from Good Charlotte to Rush in a weird way. The opening of Euphoria, I actually like that song a lot because it just put me in mind a little bit. And it's not, don't get me wrong, all you Rush heads out there, it's not the same song, but it does put me in mind a little bit what they did with Tom Sawyer, the opening of it, the way the synth kicked in, and then you build up to all the space with the vocals. And that's what you were saying before, is that there's a lot of space around the synth with the vocals sort of come through and do things, and the guitar in the background, along with the bass. It's sort of like drum, synth, vocal. That's kind of the three elements, the bass and the guitar, that are sort of fill things out a bit more. And that's what it sort of all does. It's an interesting one, and with that in mind, the emphasis on rhythm and groove is what keeps it interesting when you're listening to it. It feels like they've gone for the feel-good radio hooks kind of thing. They haven't, for me, what they haven't done is offered up anything that's really not gripping. It doesn't have the substance that I was looking for this one personally for me. But, that said, I can see why people other people like Blake and yourself would enjoy this one more, because it does have some good rhythm, groove, melody on this one too. And for all the the ripping on the vocals we're doing tonight, the vocals are actually pretty good on this one too. So those criticisms are pretty hard to justify if you're just going to dismiss it out of hand for those reasons. I think it is worth listening to, but I can understand why the taste things won't appeal to people. The mix was really good on this one too. For all the sonic shifts and layering going on here, there's like 3 or 4 different synth parts at times. Everything really sits nicely one against the other. I think for me, if I'm going to listen to this sort of stuff, my default is going to be going to the Night Flight Orchestra. Again, not the same band, but they're a thing that for me...
Take that back.
No, I'm not going to take that back. Fuck off. Because the synth-heavy aspect and the way... It's very much a time thing, I think, for me, because that puts me back in mind of things that I grew up with. And when Blink were out, I was like, fuck those guys. And so, and this isn't to say that, how do I put this? It's me trying to say that because the 80s was a bigger thing, and that translates better into what Night Flight Orchestra are doing at the moment than what they've tried to do with this one, where they've taken those influences and tried to mix them in a bit more. None of this is bad. It just didn't grab me the way I wanted it to grab me, it's an interesting listen. I like the actual, and this is going to sound mean, but it's not. The album length is about right too. It's a bit of a shorter listen, but that means it's not a hard one to get through. It's easy to sit through, and the diversity was there as well. It just feels like, for me, they were trying to get a bit more retro on this and didn't quite pull it off. But at the same time, I can see why other people that are of a different demographic to me would get it better than I do in listening to it. So it's a bit like the previous album, where there are certain facets in time where the influences of the band come through, and depending on who you are, what you listen to when you're growing up, you're going to get grabbed by those ones or not. So, I'm gonna there's some good comments coming through. I'll get to those in a second. But generally speaking, this is about on par with the last one. It's all well executed. The performances are good. It's going to come down to taste, and for me, it just didn't quite do enough to grab me, just to get my attention. And in the way I was able to reference the lyrics on the previous album, this one doesn't quite get me the same way, which is where, the storytelling was a gateway to that one. But at the same time, this one, I think, had a bit more maturity in overall songwriting and approach. So there's a bit of an evening out.
Which is amazing for the Blink guy.
I know, which I found really hard to get my head around that. There was maturity displayed on this one, which is like, what the fuck? Because ever since I saw them live, I've been completely put off by everything they've all fucking done. So, take it for what it's worth that, this is a guy who really doesn't like Blink-182, and I got through this one pretty easily at the end of the day. It just didn't do a lot for me. So I gave it a 6 out of 10. Euphoria is my standout track on this one, but also Spellbound and No More Guns. No More Guns was cool because that was the one track on this one where if you don't like the synth stuff, check out No More Guns, because that's the one they strip back, put the guitar into focus on, and that's worth a listen. If you don't want to listen to the whole thing, listen to No More Guns. If you want your rock stuff, that's the one that has the riff, and that was pretty cool. That's why I picked that one there. On the comments though, there's a few. Where are we going? Got back a bit. Okay, Helen says, ouch, yes, did my homework and all the bands for review tonight. Feels like we have to produce something kind of album to get a record deal. Didn't quite feel that listening to it, but I can see why people don't like it at the same time. Daniel says, seriously, guys, early 80s new wave at best. And,
that bad.
Yeah, you like this one too. TJ says, sounds like a dead or alive piss take. So there we go. Benjamin says, was it like that fucked first time you heard Funky Town by Pseudo Echo though, Tim? That's a question for you.
Funky Town by Pseudo Echo.
Yeah.
Which one?
Homework for you, I think, there. All right, that's where TJ said, where are you? And Benjamin said, after the where are you, Benjamin says, actually, like that song. I can't do that song at all, to be honest. And he said the same thing, where are you? And I'm so sorry. That's the other line from there. But anyway, onto Blake, who was keen to check out our thoughts on this one. He's put in a good comment here. The album took 4 years to produce and is the accompanying record for the upcoming film Monsters of California. In my humble opinion, this is the most accomplished album to date and really shows the progression of the band since '06. Knowing that it's to go with a film, I'd like to listen to it again with that context. So that makes a bit more intriguing to me. I think film, yeah.
It is the best Angels and Airwaves album they've ever done.
Okay, cool.
Like, by far. So, yeah.
This is the first time I've ever listened to the band, so, take that for what it's worth.
I'm sure you were keen to listen to the Blink guys' second band.
Hey, this, if anything, this should prove that it's not like a biased thing here. It's a case of what the lounge vote said was what got picked up tonight. So that should tell you what you need to know right there. So if you don't like our choices, get into the lounge, join the Facebook group, and then on Thursday we do a list of what's coming out on the Friday. Give us your thoughts, what you want us to check out. So yeah, but I do appreciate that comment there from Blake, and I want to make ssure that when I want to listen to it again with that in mind, that it's meant to be accompanying a film. That'd be a different way to look at it, I think. Sally says, I felt like I've been taken back in time to Ultravox on Countdown. I'm going to need forewarning if you're going to do that. There we go. Blake, I immediately heard Rush influence in Euphoria. Okay, I'm glad it wasn't just me, because there is that the way the Sonic comes in that was actually a pretty cool moment. That's why I picked it. I really did enjoy that one. Benjamin, in response, said, I actually love Rush, so I could have listened, I guess. Listen to that song, Ben. Listen to Euphoria. Let us know what you think of that, because I think the opening of that does lean into that a bit. It's pretty cool. I think Blake likes Losing My Mind and Fire in a Nameless Town as his tracks on that one. Yep. All right, cool. And Sally's going, I'm trying to save you, your ears. So there we go. Andrew says, I'm with Andrew on Blink 182. There's a few of us around tonight, so that's good there. Blake says, I'm only disappointed that they slow dripped 5 singles over 2 years when the album dropped. There's only 3 new songs to cover in context. It makes much more sense. Okay, I don't even know that much background on it either. So there you go.
Yeah, I didn't listen to the singles when it drops.
Yeah, no, I didn't do that either. And Blink says, I'm an AVA and Blink fanboy, if that wasn't apparent. Enjoy. Like, whatever makes people happy, man. This is the whole fun. Okay, what the hell? Benjamin's got a tip for you. The song is called Vampires. The YouTube channel is called This Is Cell NZ. All right, cool. We'll check that out as well. All right. Let's get to it. Let's get to the main event of the evening. This is going to be a complete change in gear, and if you didn't like the last ones, I'm pretty sure the people who were complaining about the last ones are probably going to like this one. So we're going to bring it home strong, folks. Okay? The headline act for tonight is Tremonti. The reference track is Now and Forever. So, again, link is in the comments or in the description. It is Tremonti with Now and Forever. Again, the latest single from the new album, which is Tremonti Marching in Time. This is 12 tracks for 59 minutes. The 5th studio album from the American band, released September 2021 by Napalm Records. Produced by Michael Elvis Biscuit at Studio Barbarossa in Florida. 3 singles have been released, including If Not For You and the title track. This is a band we've had a lot of love for over the years, since 2012. Fingers crossed this one keeps up the good things. Let's see how we go with this. And a big shout out to Wayne, again, who got a mention earlier on, but Wayne is probably the biggest Mark Tremonti fan that I know out of anyone. He's got the fucking Ultimate tattoo and got one of Mark's guitars and stuff. So he's an absolute huge fan. So if you're watching, Wayne, hopefully you like the album, because I know how big of a fan you are. But Tim, how'd you go?
So I made a comment earlier on the show where we were doing Volbeat. There's that particular American hard rock style has been around for a long time, and I'd like to see something different. Having said that, I want to put that in the context of this album, because when it's done very well, it's hard. You can see why it's popular, right?
Yeah.
And Tremonti has been a huge influence on that style.
Yeah.
Going back to Creed.
Yep. Definitely.
And when you put it out in the context of this band, like, you can see why he's had such a great longevity, because and why the style has a great longevity, regardless of what you think about it, because when it's done incredibly well, it is just balls out hard rock, played with a keen sense of songwriting, a nice sense of skill, rhythmic hooks, with a nice little bit of syncopation, and a nice little push and pull flow that makes it very pleasing to the ear. And of course, when you put Mark Tremonti on top of it, he's a phenomenal guitar player. It's great guitar tones. I love the guitar tones all over this album as well. And the drum tones, to be frank. The vocals are pretty good too. And everything sat really nicely. Songwriting was spectacular. If you like hard rock or anything like that in general, you'd be pretty hard-pressed to not like this album, to be frank. Because this is one of those things where I think if you present excellent music of any genre to anyone, I think they can find it, enjoyable. And I think this is an excellent hard rock album. And frankly, no surprises because Mark Tremonti is very good at what he does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so 9 out of 10. Fantastic album. I think everybody should stop. Well, don't stop what you're doing. You watch what we're doing, and then afterwards listen to this album.
Yep.
But yeah, I picked The Last One of Us and If Not You as my highlights. But frankly, you know, like you can just play from start to finish because they're all good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you. There's not a dud moment on this record. And what I found really intriguing about it was just how well it flowed. The track order is fucking brilliant. I mean, it's a slightly longer album. When it starts getting past that 45-minute mark, I tend to notice because of the amount of albums we listen to. We listen to 400 or 500 albums a year. So you notice when it starts getting a bit past the 45-minute mark. This one, you don't notice it at all. And it just flies by. And it's easy. I put this one on 3 times in a row today and wasn't fatigued in the slightest. It's so easy to repeat spin. I think Mark Tremonti is a criminally underappreciated vocalist. I think that he could be the lead vocalist in any of the bands that he's been involved in. If it wasn't for, he probably would be a better vocalist than Scott Stapp for Creed, and
definitely would be.
And he's up there. No, sorry, he's not up there. He's a different style of vocalist. But if Alter Bridge didn't have Miles Kennedy, he would fill the role just fine. I think he's an actually really good vocalist. What I like about him is his tone is a bit different to a lot of the other ones. It's a really warm, rich tone. Not the world's biggest range, but what he uses really, really well. He doesn't overdo anything. And this applies to the guitar work too. Nothing is overdone. There's a lot going on in this. It's got some heavy kick going on. It's got some ballsy riffs, some great lead work as you expect. But nothing is overdone, and he's avoided all the temptations to do those things and just focus on writing bloody good songs. This is an album that just shows you when it's executed well. What you were saying before about the modern day sound or the current, radio friendly, rock radio friendly thing that goes out there, when it's done well, obviously still cuts through for very good reason. But for all the things that we're saying now that might put people in mind of sort of the Nickelback effect, this has none of the deliberate radio hooks that Nickelback do. This avoids all those tropes and just writes good songs, good lyrics, good stories, good emotion, the whole lot. This is one of those records where it's just so well executed. That's the big thing. It's hard to put into context when again I think it comes down to because we listen to so much music in a year.
What it is?
Yeah,
he's a guy with a 23, 24 year career who knows what he's doing and he's very good at it.
Yeah, and is not trying. Yeah, go on.
He's reached a point in his career where I'm sure he doesn't really need the money, and he's just doing what he wants to do. And fortunately for him, what he wants to do is very easy to listen to.
And that's the thing too. And I think that's the crossover point with this band. If you've not heard them before, there's a comment here. I'll get to that later on. But if you've not heard this band before, this is a band you really have been sleeping on and it's one of those ones too that it is heavy, but it's one that anyone can listen to as well. Like you said before, you put good music that's done well to anyone, they'll probably appreciate it. This is one of those ones that's going to hook people more than they think because the vocals, the hooks, the writing, they stay with you. The opening track on this one has a great hook in it that just never leaves your mind. Like you can hear it now, A World Away is a great hook. And the last track, Marching in Time, the closer, was like a 7-minute plus epic. So he goes from shorter songs that give you lots of impact to these long, expansive songs, and none of it feels like it doesn't fit. It all just the whole thing from song to song and the way the whole album flows is so well done, executed. The sound is great, performances are fucking fantastic. Very, very, very hard to fault, and it's one of those ones where you'll just keep going back to it because it's just so slick. And not in the, Def Leppard polished way. It's just so slick. It's so well done. It's so executed so damn well. So there we go.
There's a thing that we all strive for. This is what I was saying before about, in regards to the Badflower album, is that it is slick in a way where the instruments still sound like instruments.
Yeah. Yep.
Like if you play guitar or drums, when you play drums, there's certain bits that are ringy and sound But if you take those away, it sounds lifeless. So when you put it in an album like this, it sounds all big and rich and full. And same thing with, guitar amps when they're just sitting there are loud. They buzz and they fuzz and all that. But that's what keeps it interesting. That's how you get them to sound nice and rich and warm. When you try to take that away, they sound, dead and flat and produced. And they've kept all that here. And then sat his vocals on top, and it sounds like a band.
Yeah, that's
the key.
That's definitely it, actually.
And it sounds like a band playing together, playing songs together, and playing extremely well.
Yeah, the fact I didn't gate the fuck out of everything, that was that's a good point. It's very modern, very slick, but it does very much sound like an organic band playing in a room and doing a fucking good job. There's a pandemic live clip kicking around, which sounds just as good. So they've got the chops and they can show it off, and this is an album well worth checking out. So, I know we've put people through a bit of discomfort tonight, but hopefully the payoff is worth it because the main event, I think, has delivered.
Speak for yourselves. I love today.
You're not seeing the comments to come through. But for those out there, check this one. I gave it a 9 out of 10 as well. I really did enjoy this one. Marching in Time, A World Away, and Not Afraid to Lose. One of the quirkier things on this album is that for all the ballsy stuff on this, the softer tracks tended to stand out a bit more to me. I thought the emotive context was really nicely done on this album. So well done to all involved. Another cracking album. Back to some comments. We got some more positive feedback on this one there, Tim. This is the one that we thought would bring it home strongly. Sally's gone, Wayne has stellar taste. Yes, he does. Wayne is one of the all-time greats. TJ says, much better. Daniel says, real music at last. My metal soul is cleansed. So we're, like I said, we're making it worth your while. Helen's gone, Tremonti. There were tracks, if not for you, that were very reminiscent of Melbourne Mass, Cicada Sun, and the particular track Dying in Sunshine. Yeah, the harmony work in that in this sort of stuff is very, very cool. They would actually be a surprisingly good fit live, I reckon, those two bands. If Tremonti got here and Cicada Sun supported, I think that'd work. Benjamin says, I have the entire guitar pickups and wiring out of a Fender guitar that belonged to the Blink-182 guitarist. Is the guitarist, is that because he smashed it?
That's very cool.
Yeah, that's nice. Nice pickup. Daniel says, this band is fucking brilliant. Great musicianship. The solo is super melodic. Yeah, and that's what I love about the solo work on what Tremonti does too. It's just his lead work is so melodic. It's brilliant to listen to. Dean says, massive fan of Tremonti and everything he does with Creed, Alter Bridge, and his solo work project. Got all his albums. Think this is the best vocal performance I've ever heard him sing on. The lyrics were amazing. All killer, no filler. 11 out of 10, my album of the year. Fuck, that's some pretty high praise there too. That's nice. Fair. Yeah, I fully understand why people would say that too. Andy says, I feel weird not ever having heard Tremonti before, but that track's a killer. Good, I'm glad you liked it. Please check out the album if you like that track. Sally says, the album was heavier than his previous albums. Love the drums on it. He's a killer guitarist, but his voice, my grandma's era, Mark would have been called a crooner. Honey vibrato and has grit when he needs it. His melody and lyrics, I get to have two Tremontis when I get to heaven. Made a deal. So there we go with that. You enjoy that one when you get up there. But yeah, no, his voice I do think is criminally underrated. But yeah, the drumming and the rhythm section on this one really does need to be a bit more noticed as well. I think that really did sell it to me, the way the impact came through. Dean's given us a fact with the song Marching in Time. It's about Tremonti finding out his wife was pregnant in 2020 and him thinking about raising a newborn during the war, going through COVID, knowing it'll all be okay, but also an unknown. His brother also made the artwork with this stuff and Alter Bridge as well. Okay, cool. Good to know. Thanks for the background there. Appreciate it. Nikki,
that's the With Arms Wide Open of this album.
That's actually a better song. I do, and I say this. I like Creed stuff, some of it, but yeah, that this is a better piece of work than what Creed done. Hello, you sexy beast. So thank you for joining us, Nikki.
Hey, Nikki.
Good to see you here. And his melodies with storytelling, along with Miles Kennedy's best I've heard in my generation. They can't do wrong with every album. Just hope we can see Tremonti live on his own, not just with Alter Bridge. Yes, that's true. Another one there from
that would be cool.
Yeah. What else we got here? Jesus Christ. Nikki's saying hello to everyone in the comments here. All right. So Helen's gone. Andrew mentioned the 7-minute epic. Cop this, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, which I may have posted before. So for those of you in the Facebook comments, go nuts. What else we got here? Oh, hi. Benjamin said 2 pickups, all the wiring. The dude had everything replaced by a new set, and I was given the old guts. Fuck, that's cool. That's a cool story. That's nice. Blake has said, we'll definitely check out Tremonti after the show, after that rap. Please do. Check it out. That's very cool. And there we go. Sally's also said, Mark sounds better than Scott Stapp. And Tremonti definitely influenced on myself as a songwriter. The new drummer on this album as well definitely fitted more big thumping deep drum sound. That's another one there from Dean. So we got some good feedback from the fans, from ourselves. And yeah, if you haven't checked it out, please go and do so after this. But that brings us to the end of another episode. So a big thank you to our fantastic sponsors in Squinting, Screen Printing, Old Cult, and Rockstar Finance. Their details, just like ours, are in the description of this episode. So find them, give them a follow, do the same thing for us. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all the usual things everyone gets you to do, I know. But it does genuinely help us to get the word out about these streams, because this is all the way of the future. The digital world is where it's all at for this sort of stuff. So please do help us out in that regard if you'd be so kind. I'm not sure what's happening next. I think we'll be streaming no later than Monday, as the way things sit this week. Everyone's schedules are a bit all over the joint at the moment, and it's going to be that way probably going in toward the end of the year. But our Van Halen special, the Van Halen Revisited special, is on a slight delay. It'll be released very soon, though. Don't worry, that's coming. But then our next special after that is Slipknot for Halloween this year, and then November is Motley Crue, and then we're into Christmas, and then we've got a whole lot of shit planned for Christmas, December as well. So the rest of the year starts to really get cracking now. So there's a lot coming out. There's a few more albums to get through this year as well. So not done yet, but you can sort of see. It's funny when you start ticking over into October. It's like, okay, now it's sort of go time for the final third, isn't it?
I had a rough idea for like top 10, and then like the last month or so it's just been blown out.
Yeah, and there'll be a few more to come, I reckon, as well.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, so it's going to go down to the wire, our top 10s this year, I think. I'm just glad that I'm not glad that December looks like a quieter month. So there's some comments coming through. I'll get to them in a second. But yeah, so there's a lot going on. Please keep following us. So like I said, I don't think we'll stream any later than Monday, but just keep following us online to make sure you are up to date with everything that's going on with us here at the show. And we'll keep you all in the loop. But I think for now, that's it. We'll get to a bin in a second. Couple of comments here before we do. Andrew Marshall, good friend of ours. Chris Quinlan and I, huge Emerson, Lake and Palmer tragic. So there you go. There's one for everyone there. Blake has gone, thanks, Andrew and Tim. Fantastic work. Thank you for joining us tonight. And I'm glad you appreciated it. Nikki's gone, top 10 too hard. Wait for December, Nikki. You know it's going to be coming for you. And then she's gone, what's happening next? No one fucking knows. And that's pretty much where we're all at the moment. So there we go. Jeez, my God, here. Andy's gone, thanks for the show, guys. You're most welcome. And same with yeah, thanks for staying with us as well. Some people have been here for the duration of tonight's show. So thank you for sticking with us. Hopefully we've entertained you, and you haven't bailed on us, a lot of you. So thank you for that. We've done something right if you're still here from start to finish. So thanks for joining us. But now, time for the fun part of the night to wrap things up. Let's go to the bin. So Tim, what have you got for us this time around?
I'm actually going to put myself in the bin.
Why?
Because I don't actually I don't have a bin really.
Yeah.
Now there are plenty of things I could put in the bin. Like, I mean, to be honest, like Guns N' Roses promoter and things like that. But to be perfectly honest, like, I'm at that point now where I'm just not doing anything.
Yeah.
So I've got nothing to be mad at.
Mm-hmm.
I've recently hurt my knee.
Yeah.
And so I've just been in bed for 2 weeks. Basically. And what can I be pissed off at?
I'll give you
doing pretty good considering. So.
Yeah. See if this works out. Nikki's gone, let your hair out, Tim. So
There we go.
You got to shake it out there, man. There we go.
There we go.
There you go. Happy Nikki? There you go. In lieu of a bin, the hair's coming out.
There you go.
All right. Yeah, I'm a bit the same, like, because there's always the low-hanging fruit. We try and make the bin more fun these days than the serious stage we went through for a while. So I'm trying to make it a bit more fun, but at the same time, it's not always that easy. So in this context, it's when it comes to tours or releases, there's a few bands that have sort of delayed a lot of late, and so it's more serious than I like it to be. But at the same time, it is a bit annoying now, where it's like bands that delay a release, then delay it again, and it's like, nah, don't. And then the press releases, the communication around it is pretty piss poor too. So it's like you you think something's coming on and then it doesn't come on, and it's happening a lot at the moment, which is like, just at least get the word out properly. It's a bit. I know it's hard for everyone, but that's the one thing you could do to make it a bit easier. That and generally speaking, the lack of support from all governments to the arts and to music. Otherwise, wouldn't have the conversation we're having about the Enigma bar and all that sort of stuff that we had earlier tonight if it wasn't for that being the case. So get some more support. I know the government aren't going to do it, so we've got to do it ourselves. But yeah, just that it would be nice to get a bit of a chop out because all the other industries get propped up apart from uni and the arts. So make of that what you will. All right, let's go here. We've got some comments on the bin, which is good. All right, so Benjamin's got my big size 15 feet, please. Man, that must fucking suck. Daniel's going to have a good one, guys. Stay safe. Likewise for you out there as well. Helen's gone the bin. Stormtroopers bashing nurses and tradespeople, yet letting Melbourne supporters roam through parks and gardens unhindered. That's shit. Well, yeah, it's a bit of an ordinary one, that one. Watching that play out was bizarre. Nikki says she's sorry to hear about your knee, but she's very happy for no bin hair out, kind of a take there too. So there we go for that one. Sally's got never going to bail on THRS. Put in the bin for me. I'm fucking neutral all the time. No inspiration, so flat. That is a thing now. We were talking about before we went live with Brendan that this whole feeling flat is very much a real thing. Everyone, it's hard to escape right now. I think it's just everyone's hit a very flat phase. So
we're all just going through the motions. It feels like, and it's
ticking days.
Yeah.
Helen's gone to the bin. Don't bullshit us because we are intelligent. Yes, I fully believe that people are more intelligent than they get credit for, believe it or not. What else have we got here? Here we go. Nudes has gone bin. TV show Rage telling an Aussie band they won't play their video because it's boring and repetitive. Not every band has a Michael Jackson budget, especially in lockdown. Support the artists. Now, I saw you post in the lounge today, Nudes. Thank you for putting it in there. Actually, remind me what I was going to put in the bin. I was going to put Rage in the bin, but I'm actually going to do you a solid. This Saturday night on the show on television on Channel 31, we're going to play the clip. And that'll come the week after in Adelaide for you over there. So we're going to play that clip that Rage.
Yeah, Rage. The people who pick the songs on Rage are the same people who pick the songs that go on Triple J. So
yeah,
they get put in the same boat.
Yep. And Nikki's gone desecrator hiatus in the bin, but respect. So there we go. There.
Yeah, disappointing, but
yeah.
I suppose it's hard to tell who's still together at the moment.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
It is.
It's an odd one, but don't know. It's all I know is that for now we're not probably going to get any more. But they've just released a second album, which is fantastic. So if you haven't checked out Summoning yet, we reviewed it the other week. It's fantastic, and that and the album beforehand were fucking great. So I don't know. They're really, really good albums, and it's a shame to see another band go. Here we go. Dean's gone. The bin for me is anxiety. This all getting flat, not knowing what's happening today, and that's where that's the thing that's going on there in that regard. Yeah. And the funny thing here is that Rage did play Dead Amigos recently, which is I'm not sure what to make of it all, to be honest. But anyway, is what it is. Rage did that thing.
So they should too, because Dead Amigos is awesome.
Fuck yeah, I agree. Here we go. Sumalith, every second episode could have put on the market our mantelpiece in the pool room instead of the bin for positive variation. Interesting concept. We'd have to explore that one. What are we going to put up on what are we going to mount on the wall? Okay, interesting concept. We'll have to work out something in that. How we can work out the
award shrine.
Yeah, the award shrine. And I've got one of those kicking around now. But yeah. Nikki's fired up tonight. Also, bin cunt admins have been boring. So, Nikki, what's going on there? Get in the chat, let us know what's going on there.
You need to tell us, Nikki.
Yeah, you got to give us the goss. No, Nikki, maybe not in public, but you have to tell us in private, okay? Please tell us in private if not in public. Get in the chat. We've got a chat group. I want to know. What the hell? Anyway, that's it for now, I think, unless anything else you wanted to add in there, Tim, or are we good to go?
No, that's it.
That's it. All righty. Well, thank you one and all for joining us once again. It's been an absolute blast. Thanks for getting the comments and joining the conversation with us. It's a lot more fun when we get the interaction going because, it just gives us more to riff off of. But thank you one and all for tuning in. Thank you to you, Tim, for taking the time out again to do another episode with me. It's greatly appreciated. Yeah. And we'll see you all again very, very soon. Until next time, I'm Andrew.
Tim,
As always,
drink up.
and rock on.